graph the piecewise defined function. We have f of x, which is equal to x minus 1 if x is less than or equal to negative 3. And f of x is equal to negative 4 if x is greater than negative 3. So let's go ahead and then graph this piecewise function. So when we graph, we're going to first look at the first function. Okay, and so the first function is x minus 1. And it has the restriction if, okay, x is less than or equal to negative 3. Okay, so we're going to have to pick values of x, okay, and then we're going to plug it into the function f of x, which is equal to x minus 1. And then we're going to find out what that ordered pair is. So we have x and f of x. And recall that f of x is the same thing as the y-coordinate. Now keep in mind here that the restriction means that x must be less than or equal to negative 3. So the only values that we can pick are x is less than or equal to negative 3. So since it's equal to negative 3, we'll pick that one as our first value. So we have f of negative 3. And then we're going to plug it into the function. So negative 3 minus 1 is equal to negative 4. So that means the ordered pair is going to be negative 3 comma negative 4. Okay, let's pick another number, and it's going to be less than negative 3. Well, the next number that's less than negative 3 is negative 4. So we're going to plug in the function f of negative 4. And so we have negative 4 minus 1, which is equal to negative 5. So therefore we have negative 4 comma negative 5. Okay, the next one we're going to put in negative 5. So we have f of negative 5, and that's equal to negative 5 minus 1, which is equal to negative 6. And therefore we have negative 5 comma negative 6. And then the last one we're going to pick is negative 6. So we're going to find f of negative 6. Negative 6 minus 1 and then negative 7. And so therefore we have negative 6 comma negative 7. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to be able to now plot these ordered pairs. So let's go ahead and plot those ordered pairs on our graph over here to the right. So we're going to move over to the left 3 units and down 4. So therefore, there is our first point, which is negative 3, negative 4. Okay, the next one is negative 4 and then negative 5. And then negative 5 and then negative 6. And then negative 6 and then negative 7. Okay, so what that means here is that this point is going to be included and it's going in this direction. So let me use that color that we use for that particular function. So that means here is our graph. Okay, so it's going in this direction, and we have a closed dot because that means that this is less than or equal to negative 3. Okay, so therefore there is our first function. Okay, now the next function we have is the following. F of x is equal to negative 4. Okay, if x is less than, or excuse me, x is greater than 3. So again, we have our x. We know that the function f of x is going to equal negative 4. And again, we want to find out what is that ordered pair for that particular function. And remember that f of x represents y. Now recall up here, the restriction is that x must be greater than negative 3. That means we cannot include negative 3. So we have to pick a value that's greater than negative 3. Well, a number that's greater than negative 3 is negative 2. Now we're going to go ahead and plug that in. So f of negative 2 is equal to negative 4. Because it's always going to be negative 4. Because there's no variable. It's a constant. So this negative 4 represents a constant, which means it never changes. So therefore, this is going to be negative 2, comma, negative 4. Okay, the next order pair is negative 1. So if we find out f of negative 1, the output is always going to remain the same as negative 4. So we have negative 1, comma, negative 4. Okay, again, if we pick 0, if we have f of 0, again, it's going to equal -4. So that ordered pair is 0, -4. And then again, if we use +1, f of 1, again, is going to have the same output, which is -4. So we have 1, -4. Okay, now let's go ahead and plot these points on the graph. So we have -2 and then -4. So we have -2 and then -4. Okay, and then we have -1 and then -4. And then we have 0 and then -4. And then we have 1 and then -4. Okay, so let's go ahead and then make sure we have those points there. And then we're going to go ahead and then draw a line. Now keep in mind that there's also a point here that for this graph, it's not going to contain the value of -3. But in our graph, we see that it's being included for the other graph. So this is the piecewise function. Now let's take a look at the options that we have to check. Okay, so is it A, is it B, is it C, is it D? Well, it's not D, it's not C, and it's not B, therefore it is A, and that matches our graph, and therefore that's our result.